Hi, good morning. I'm Sam. Coming back here is like returning home from Taiwan because I have been here for many years to research the topic of flying tigers. And with those archives and those materials and those photos in the library, I was able to publish 3 books. So here I like to present my PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay, let me introduce myself. I was born in Dallas, Texas in 1984, so I'm an American, Chinese American, yes. And I'm a Bachelor of History. I graduated from UC Irvine in 2007 in history, and also later I went back to Taiwan. I grew up in Taiwan because my mom was from Taiwan, so I went back to Taiwan when I was 1 year old. I have my elementary school in Taiwan. After that, I came back to California. I got my middle school, high school, and I went to UC Irvine. When I get my bachelor degree, I go back to Taiwan to get my master degree in international relations from the. Okay. I graduated. I got a master of international affairs from Tankang University in New Taipei City. And then later I was also a journalist. I worked in various military magazines and aviation magazine in Taiwan from 2004 to this year. Right now I'm working as a stringer for Voice of America. Yeah. And I also serve as a legislative ad in from 2020 and 2023. Mostly I help my boss about the defense issue, mostly about the defense issue. And I'm also the author of 3 books. Yeah, those are all my 3 books. The first one is called Flying Mercenaries, the combat history of the first American volunteer group. Yeah, most people when they talk about flying tigers, they know AVG, and that's how AV stories start. So the first book is about AVG. Yeah, and most of the materials I get for my first book was from San Diego Aerospace Museum. Back then it was still called Aerospace Museum. Right now it's Air and Space Museum. Yeah, that's 2007. And the second book is called The Heroic Day, Life of the Warriors of the Sino-Japanese War. All 3 of them are in Chinese. The second one is why I wrote the second book, because I read Tom Brokaw's book, The Greatest Generation. He talked mostly about American World War II veterans. I think I can also interview those Chinese veterans who fought in World War II in Taiwan. I interviewed 200 of them, and I select 20 of them to write my second book. It's about their story when they fought the Japanese and later the communists. Yeah, the second book is mostly about the greatest generation of Taiwan, the Republic of China. Yeah. And the third book is my newest one, just one. I'm donating this to the museum. The book is like the second episode to my first book. The first book is about the American volunteer group, but we all know the AVG later was disbanded and it became part of the United States Army Air Force, and it became the 23rd Fighter Group. So the second book is mostly about the 23rd Fighter Group from 1942 to 1945. Yeah, it's a very interesting story. So I donate my first and my second book to the museum to pay. Yes. And I'd like to talk about my connection with San Diego Air and Space Museum. That's Ray Wagner. Yeah, when I was here as a student, I visited the library a lot to get the materials I need to write the books. That's the time when he helped me a lot. Yeah, and also I donate the photos. There was the day I donated my first book to the museum. And right now I'm completing my second book, so I donated not the third book. So I donated here too to make the full circle complete. Yeah. And also in addition to San Diego Aerospace Museum, I also got materials from other places, like I went to Hoover Institutions in 2022. And that's me holding the paper of the first American volunteer group. I think that's the paper about the order, Chiang Kai-shek gave the order to establish the AVG. That's the date. That's a very important paper, so I'm holding it in my hand. Yeah. They have I think clearly China's papers over there. So if you guys want to know more about flying tigers, you can go to San Francisco, Stanford. Yeah. Okay, before I enter our topic, I'd like to know which China collaborate with the United States in World War II. Yeah, most people when they talk about China, they think it's People's Republic of China today. But back then, during World War II, there was no such thing called PRC. During the war, there was the Republic of China. But after World War II, the Republic of China was defeated in a civil war against the communists, so it retreated to Taiwan in 1949. So don't get confused. When I say China before 1949, I mean Republic of China. Today's China is People's Republic of China. That's a different thing. But if I talk about anything after 1949, I will just say Taiwan. It's a connection because after World War II, the Republic of China retreated to Taiwan. So I will use ROC to describe, or Taiwan to describe Republic of China after 1949. If I mention China before 1949, it's all about Republic of China. If I mention China after 1949, I will use PRC. That's the name used for the Communist China. Yeah, it's a different stuff. Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous today. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, what is my third book about? It's basically about the 23rd Fighter Group formed to replace the American volunteer group in China after the entrance of the United States to World War II. Because before Pearl Harbor, the United States was not at war with Japan, so it didn't declare war against Japan. So they sent that all those airmen flying P-40 for the AVG, they were decommissioned from the U.S. Army, Air Force, Marine, or Navy. So they served in China as mercenaries of the Republic of China Air Force. But after the U.S. entrance to World War II, they don't need to fight as a mercenary anymore. So they become regular U.S. Army airmen in China. So they become 23rd Fighter Group. Yeah, so my third book is about 23rd, basically, serving in China during World War II. And that's Ed Rector. He was the first flying tigers to shut down the Japanese aircraft in China on December 20th, 1941. That's the first aerial engagement of the AVG, and he was the first one who actually shoot down the first. He gets the first credit for the flying tigers, and he became the last commander of the 23rd Fighter Group in China in 1945 before the war ended. And those two are P-40s, the Hawk 81. That's the export version of P-40B fighters used in China during World War II. Yeah, and they were used by the AVG first, but after the 23rd came here, they were all taken over by the 23rd. So their marking on the wing, when they were AVG, they used the ROC Air Force marking, the 12-point star. But after the entrance of the U.S. into the World War II, they replaced with the U.S. White Star. Those are the Mustang, P-51 Mustang used by the 23rd during the later stage of the war. The P-51 photos was from the 75th Fighter Squadron, and the photo is what I got from here. This one I got from San Diego Archive Library. Yeah, I use this in my book. You can see it. And the other one is from the 118 Tactical Reconnaissance Squadron. That one I got from the Warner Robins Air Force Museum. They also have some collection of the flying tigers. Yeah, very interesting. And I was also able to interview some veterans who flew for the 23rd Fighter Group during World War II. Here, he's the most famous ace in China during war. He's John R. Allison. Yeah, he flew. He was an ace in China. I think he shot down 7 Japanese fighters when he was the commander of 75th Fighter Squadron. And the other guy was Leonardo Odell. He flew for the 76th Fighter Squadron. He was also a P-51 pilot, and that's a very interesting story. Yeah. And that's the story of John Allison I'm talking about. He was once almost shot down by the Japanese fighter on a mission to bomb Yichang on May 31st, 1943. because when his P-40, the Japanese shot off the tail, the rudder of his P-40, he was almost getting knocked down. But the Chinese pilot, Zhang Xilan, he flew another P-40 in the back of the Japanese fighter, and he shot the Japanese fighter out from the tail of John Ellison. So he rescued John Ellison. That's a very interesting story, and that proves that the theory of clearly Chen, he always said that the Chinese airmen can also fight if they got proper training and proper equipment. So later on, he want to send some of the Chinese airmen. He want to incorporate some Chinese airmen into the 23rd Fighter Group. We all know that 23rd Fighter Group was an American U.S. Army Air Force unit. Most of 100% of the airmen are American. But Chen he wants to use the Chinese airmen to fight in China, because back then the U.S. focused most of the resource to fight Adolf Hitler in Europe. They don't want to send too many American pilots to China. So Chen wants to use the Chinese Air Force pilots to fight side by side with the American. So this mission proved that the Chinese Air Force can fight as well as American pilots. So he wants to make them to join the 23rd, to incorporate them into the 23rd. So he wrote letters to Zhou Zhirou to say if it's possible to have some Chinese Air Force actually fighting for the 23rd Fighter Group. That's a very interesting story, because very few people know about this. And they select 12 Chinese pilots to serve with the 23rd Fighter Group. The 23rd Fighter Group had 3 squadrons, 74th, 75th, and 76th. So each squadron has 4 Chinese pilots. So they select all those 12 pilots from the first batch of the Chinese cadets who were sent to the United States for aerial training in 1941. In late 1941, FDR, he allowed the Chinese pilot to be trained in Arizona. Those are the Chinese airmen trained in the U.S. And that's the materials I got from Taiwan's academic historical. They're talking about sending the Chinese pilots to be trained in the United States. Because clearly China, he always wants to have Chinese Air Force Americanized, to make them more modernized force, capable against the Japanese invader and later against the communists. For the Chinese fighter pilot trained in the United States, they will have primary training in Thunderbird field. Most of the training take place in Arizona. They will have the 6 weeks of primary training in Thunderbird, and then later they will have 7 weeks of basic training in Williams Field, then advanced training in Luke Field. Today's Luke Air Force Base is the training center for F-35. And I'm lucky enough to interview one of the Chinese pilots who actually served under 23rd Fighter Group. His name is Chen Bingjing, or you can call him Jimmy. His English name is Jimmy, and that's his P-40 and him. And that's Jimmy with his American commander Ed Gust. He was with the 75th Squadron in 1933. Because he got his training in Luke Air Force in Luke Field in 1941, and he came back to China in early 1943, and he was assigned to 75th Squadron. But he was not lucky. Unfortunately he was shot down in Vietnam during invasion against the harbor of Haiphong on October 1st, 1943, and he was captured by the Japanese, and he was tortured. He was locked down. He was a prisoner of war until Japan was defeated. So he was unable to come back to flight mission anymore. But he had a very good relationship with the Americans during his service on the 75th. And later on, as I said, 12 Chinese served under 23rd Fighter Group during World War II, but 6 of them were killed before the end of 1943. but they proved their capability to fight the Japanese. So later, Chen Nong, he decided to expand the involvement of the Chinese airmen in his 14th Air Force. So he established a Chinese-American compulsory wing in his 14th Air Force. So more Chinese. Originally, there were only 12. Now, the two fighter group and one bomber group of the Chinese Air Force were now under his command. And it's a force mix with Chinese and American airmen. They all fight together. That's different unit. It's no longer just 23rd Fighter Group. Right now, they are forming a new unit. They expand the cooperation between the Chinese and American Air Force. That's Tex Hill, a very famous AVG ace. He later also became the commander of 23rd Fighter Group. And that's also the commander of CACW or the 3rd Fighter Group. Yeah. And that's Zhou Zhirou, the commander of the Chinese Air Force during the war. Right now they are forming up the Chinese Air Force in America, forming up the Chinese Air Force compulsory wing to fight the Japanese together. Yeah. During World War II, you can see there were three Chinese American compulsory wing will consist of three units. First, there was one bomber group, the first bomber group with B-25, and they also have 3rd Fighter Group of P-40 and the 5th Fighter Group of P-40. During the later part of the war, they also got P-51 Mustang, and those were all the Chinese pilots trained in the United States. Yeah. And later on, they even allowed the Chinese pilots to command the American. To command. In the beginning, all the flight leaders were American to lead the Chinese to fight the Japanese, because the American pilot, they had more experience. They know the tactics. They know they know how to lead. But later on, when Chinese pilots they get more experience, Chen Nong he want the Chinese pilots to lead the American pilot who just got to China. He wants the Chinese pilot to be the leader to lead them into combat. So later on, you can see Chinese leading the American to fight the Japanese too. And right here, his name is Bray Chow. He was also the veterans I interviewed. He flew with the 5th Fighter Group of the Chinese American compulsory wing. He led some American pilots during the war too, and one of them is Javid. I also interviewed him. He passed away a few years ago. He lived in California, in Los Angeles area, and he was with the 26th Fighter Squadron, and he flew mission under the command of Fred Chow. So it's very nice to know actually. In the beginning, the American was able to train the Chinese, but later on, the Chinese was also able to lead American into the battle. That's how the cooperation worked in China during World War II. And here, and after World War II, after the war ended, most of those CACW Chinese Air Force pilots, they became commander of the Republic of China Air Force. And Ed Rector, the first Flying Tiger ace, he also became the chief of the Air Force section of the MAG, of American Military Advisory Group in Taiwan. So he was in Taiwan to train the new generation of Taiwanese fighter pilots. And during the Korean War, the Communist China, they got a MiG-15, the jet fighter, earlier than the Taiwanese Air Force. So back then, Taiwan, we only had propeller aircraft like F-47, the P-47 Thunderbolt. So Ed Rector was there to teach Taiwanese pilots how to engage MiG with P-47, with propeller aircraft, World War II era propeller aircraft against the MiG. When Taiwanese pilot asked him, we cannot outrun MiGs. Ed Rector told them you can outturn MiGs because you're more maneuverable than jet fighters. When they fly, you can turn them. So they were able to get some victory against MiGs when they fly inferior World War II era fighters against MiGs. They were able to inflict some. They never shot down MiG, but they were able to inflict some damage to the enemy aircraft in early 50s under the direction of former Flying Tigers at reactors. And with the assistance of red actors, they were also able to get a jet eventually in 1953. The F-84 came to Taiwan in June 1953. And also later the F-86 Sabres. Yeah, and a lot of those fighter pilots, they were also former members of the Chinese-American Combustion Wing. They all became the leadership of the post-war Taiwanese Air Force Base, and they were able to shoot down more MiGs even after they come to Taiwan. Yeah, and Taiwan even was able to get the first air-to-air missile killed in 1958 during the Strait Crisis, the second Strait Crisis in 1958, when there was a bombardment against Kinmen, the offshore islands in China coast, and Taiwan was able to shoot down the first Sidewinder missile against Communist China's MiG-17. Yeah, that's the first air-to-air victory of Sidewinder missile in 1958. And as I mentioned, John Allen said the 23rd Fighter Group Ace, who was rescued by Chinese fighter pilots in 1943, he later became the vice president of Northrop Grumman. And with his help, Taiwan was able to get license to produce Taiwan's own F-5 fighters in Taiwan. About 300 were made in Taiwan in 1970s to boost the defense of Taiwan against communist invasion in late 70s and early 80s. And the recent development is that Americans are actually buying those fighters back to America to train just next generation American pilot against communist China or Russia. Taiwan is retiring those F-5 fighters last year, and Americans are buying them back right now to train the current American fighter. That's their legacy continues until today. And another interesting story is that Taiwan later also get F-16 fighters. Beginning in early 90s, Taiwan also sent F-16 pilot to be trained in the same Air Force Base, the Luke Air Force Base, where U.S. trained the Chinese fighter pilots 80 years ago. In 1990s, Taiwan again sent pilots to the same Air Force Base to be trained to fly F-16. That's also a legacy connects two countries. Yeah, that's Taiwanese F-16 today. Yeah. Taiwan right now, Taiwan will have the largest F-16 fleet in East Asia because right now they have 145 F-16, the upgrade version of F-16, A model and B model, and later on the more advanced C model and the D model known as Viper F-16V will come to Taiwan in next few years, 66 more. So Taiwan will eventually have 200 F-16s. So that's the largest F-16 in Asia right now. Will be the largest there. Yes. And also the CACW unit are still in operation because as I said, the 3rd Bomber Group, a 3rd Fighter Group, and 5th Fighter Group, they were all part of the Chinese-American Combustion Wing, and they are now still exist, and they are still under the command of the Republic of China Air Force today. That's the first. That's Taiwan's domestically built fighter called FCK-1 or IDF. That's the first fighter wing. Today is known. Back then in World War II, it's called First Bomber Group. Right now, it's called First Tactical Fighter Wing in Tainan Air Force Base. And the the third fighter wing was also part of the CSW. It's in Taichung, Taiwan's CCK Air Force Base. And the Phase 5 group is F-16, flying F-16 in Hualien. See, that's all the legacy of the Flying Tiger. They are still inherited by today's Taiwan Air Force. And that's when Jamie, when he returned to Taiwan in 2017. And also that's the statue of Claire Channel in the Hualien Air Force Base of the Phase Fighter Wing. You can still see how the Air Force in Taiwan still very appreciate the contribution of American to China during World War II. Yeah. And the 23rd Fighter Group also still exists. It's in Moody Air Force Base today, equipped with the A-10 fighter. And that's Fred Chow, who I interviewed, who I said he was the flight leader of the Phase Fighter Group during World War II to lead young American combat. He was also invited back to Moody Air Force Base to commemorate the Flying Tiger, to establish the 70th anniversary of the Flying Tiger. He was invited back to the Moody Air Force Base to talk about his experience of how he led the American airmen to combat against the Japanese. So you can see the legacy is still alive, pretty alive today. Yeah. And one thing is that the PRC or the Communist China, they are trying to steal Taiwan or its legacy to use them as a propaganda against America and against Taiwan. They always tell people say that they are the one who fight the Japanese during World War II. But actually they fought very little. They did rescue 80 American pilots during World War II, but they didn't really have air force, so they can really fight the Japanese in the sky. During the war, most of the job were done by the American Army Air Force and the Republic of China Air Force. But now they claim that's their legacy, and they want to steal all the credit away, and they use that as a diplomatic tool to tell the American they were the true heroes against the Japanese, and that's not true. And the guy in the photo is Qin Gang. Do you know who he is? Qin Gang. He's in jail right now. Back then he was the Chinese PRC ambassador to U.S. and later he became the Minister of Foreign Affairs. But later on he was thrown into the jail for corruption. Xi Jinping accused him of corruption. But it's a very nasty political game. But as I say, the PRC, they are using the history of Flying Tigers to claim credit and to use that as a diplomatic tool to woo the United States to support them. Yeah, that's a very bad story. And that Jimmy, when he was old, he returned to Taiwan in 2017 to commemorate the first aerial engagement between China and Japan. And that's the simulator of the cockpit, a simulator of the P-40. And when he sees the cockpit, he cried in front of it because he was reminded of his younger age when he was fighting against the Japan in World War II. He passed away in 2022, in late 2022, and he lived in Hong Kong. And when he died, he was not allowed to have the national flag of Taiwan on his coffin. He was only allowed to have the Air Force flag on his coffin because you all know Hong Kong is under the PRC rule, so he cannot have the flag of the Republic of China on his coffin. That's how politics plays in China today. And also one thing is that there are still future possible cooperation between Taiwan's Air Force and the United States Air Force against potential communist invasion. And you can see that's the 23rd Fighter Wing when they were deployed to Indo-Pacific in 2023, in late 2023 for military exercise. So that means there may still be opportunity for 23rd Fighter Group to work again with the Taiwanese Air Force in the future. Yeah. And one more thing to mention is that Taiwan is a very important asset to Indo-Pacific strategy. One very important thing is that we have the best pilot and the best Air Force in East Asia, the largest F-16 fleet. And I hope the legacy of Flying Tigers will continue because the Luke Air Force Base now is the training school for F-35. So all the F-16 pilots, all the Taiwanese Air Force pilots, they are moved to Tucson for further training because right now it's no longer F-16 schools. Right now it's F-35 schools. So I hope one day Taiwan can get F-35 so they can return to Luke Air Force Base again. Okay, that's my presentation. And also, I'm donating my friend's book to the library too. And right now, the largest AVG collection is in Taiwan too. So that's why I think if you want to see this, you can visit Taiwan in the future, and you can also check this book in the library to see they are all in feature. It's not in English, but they have all the photos of the collection. Very easy for you to understand. Yeah, so you can go to the library very often to read it. I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you. I'm kind of nervous today. You have any question? Please.
When the American pilots, I guess in 38, 39, joined the AVG, they had to resign their commissions, and they actually joined the Chinese Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. So after 41, when the AVG disbanded and became the 23rd, did the Chinese pilots have to give up their commission, or was it a joint Air Force combination?
In AV, there was no Chinese pilots in AVG. Ironically, there were only American pilots serving under Chinese Air Force. Those 12 Chinese Air Force pilots, they were sent to the 23rd under the command of the Channel and the Chinese Air Force. It's actually an experiment to see if Chinese Air Force can fight under American command and American unit. So later, with this experience, they were able to expand to the Chinese Air Force compulsory. That's how it comes. So yeah, and during the Chinese-American compulsory, the Americans serving under the CACW, they were also they were both the wing of the Chinese and the American Air Force. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, please. You need the microphone?
I work with a system called crocheting. Are they still using the crocheting system?
Crocheting? What's that?
Lane 16.
Oh yeah. F-16, yes. Yeah. Okay.
What year did they change over from the 40 to the 51?
You have a microphone? I can.
No. Okay. What year did they change over from the P-40 to the P-51?
Oh, because P-51 is more advanced.
No, I know why. I'm saying when.
Oh, 94. So CACW 23rd, 1943. I think October 1943 they began to receive a P-51A model, and later on they got B model and C model and D models. Yes. Okay. I think so. Yeah, they like. I think people in China they still love the story of Flying Tigers, but their government was bad. Their people are good. The people in China are still. They want to know the true history, but the communists they make propaganda, the fake propaganda to claim that Mao Zedong was the leader of China during World War II, and they want to believe that they were able to defeat Japan without American help. If they want to talk about Flying Tiger, they always talk about how the communists rescue America. They don't really talk about how America helped China. They turned around. They are inviting American veterans and their children back to China to make fake story. That's a very important thing we have to watch out. That's called the United Front tactics. They want to make those Americans believe they are doing the true history, but in fact they are using it as a political tool to make people think they are making true history, but in fact they are still telling the fake history to the Chinese people. I think you can ask Mr. Him. He is from mainland China. He knows more about that than me. Yeah, please.
Two things. Quite often as a docent, I've had people come in that are Chinese and want to go directly to see something about the Flying Tigers.
Yes.
From right to the front door, right there.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, the wing has the 12-pointed star on the AVG airplanes, the Chinese star, and now Taiwan uses the same 12-pointed star. What does the PRC use?
PRC, they use the red star with a August 1st. They have, let me show you. Can you go into it? Yeah, well, they especially red star, just like Soviet unit and Russia. But they have a Chinese character of August 1st, Ba Yi in the middle of the red star. It's very similar to the MiG over there. That's the North Vietnamese MiG, right? Very similar to that. But they have this red star there with Chinese character of August 1st in the star. Yeah.
What is August 1st?
Because that's the day when they found their Red Army in 1923. 1923. Yeah. There are people saying that China may invade Taiwan in 2023. That's the date, the year they want to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the People's Liberation Army. Yeah.
Thank you.
Please.
Wasn't the Republic Star, similar Republic Star, wasn't that started by Dr. Sun?
What? Huh?
The Republic Star?
Republic Star?
Yeah, on the Republic of China.
Yeah, it's actually called White Sun, Blue Sky, 青天白日, because it's 12-point star, but it's very similar to Israel's star. I know. Yeah.
Wasn't that started by Dr. Sun? Sun Yat-sen?
Yeah, Sun Dong-san. Yeah, it's by Sun Yat-sen. It's actually designed by Lu Haodong, his assistant, during the revolution. When he launched the revolution against Qing Dynasty, they designed the flag. Yeah.
Okay.
Any question? You guys can ask me any question, not only to Flying Tiger. If you're interested in China-Taiwan relation, I can answer too. any airplane question? Yeah. Please.
Okay, so when using the Thunderbolt to fly against the MiGs that the Chinese had, those were straight conflicts?
Yes.
Conflicts were the straight, or did they participate in Korea?
You mean the PRC pilots?
Well, I know the PRC pilots,
they fought in Korea, yeah.
But did the Taiwanese pilots fight in Korea too?
The fighter pilot, no. Yeah, not in Korea, but they later fought in Crimea in the Strait crisis. They fought a lot of aerial engagement. I think because during Korea, most of the communist fighter pilots that were sent to fight in Korea, so it's relatively quiet in Taiwan Strait. But after the Korean War, there were a lot of skirmish between Taiwan and mainland China between 1953 to 1960. They were fighting all around. I think the last aerial engagement was taking place in 1967 when Taiwan's F-104, they shot down 2 communist MiG-19, and Taiwan also lost 1 F-104. That's but Taiwan had a better pilots, much better than mainland China. So most of the fight, we lost all the ground war against communists, but in the air we never lost.
Yeah. Well, they're good at the guerrilla warfare and throwing people into the bullets. But one thing that really struck me when you brought up the maneuverability compared to the MiG, that reminds me of the tactics that Chanel taught Tigers on how to take out the Japanese. They were more maneuverable, but the Tiger, the P-40 was heavier and faster. Yeah. And it's just swoop down, attack, and come back up.
That's the same thing.
Reverse the tactics.
That's the same thing Ed Rector told the Taiwanese pilots to do when he trained them to fight the MiGs. Yeah, that's how the legacy of Chanel continued to Taiwan, even until today. And Chanel, he was a very strong supporter of Taiwan too. He passed away in 1957, and I think he had a very good relation with Madam Chiang Kai-shek. Yeah. Please.
Weren't there? It seems like I read that there were some missions that were flown by the 23rd from Kunming or wherever all the way to Taiwan, and do some bombing missions in Taiwan.
That's in 1943, the Thanksgiving raid, when they flew from Jiangxi. That's where he from what Air Force, what base is that? It's from Jiangxi, I know. I forgot the name of the base right now, but yeah, they flew. I think that's a mission with the B-25 from the 11th Bomber Squadron and the 1st Bomber Group of CACW, and also P-38 from the 449th Bomber Squadron of 23rd, and also the P-51 Mustang from 76th. Yeah, they flew mission against Hsinchu Air Force Base. Shinjuku, back then it's called Shinjuku, it was a large Japanese naval training base. So they attacked the base. That's happened in November 25th, 1943.
But a very long mission, like 1,000 miles out and back.
Yeah, very long. I don't know how many miles was that. I don't recall that, but it's very long mission. Yeah, but that was the closest base to Taiwan from mainland China. Yeah.
When was it that the...
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Okay, when was it that the Sidewinder got lodged in the MiG and they took it back and the Russians developed their atoll side their infrared missile.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very interesting story. Yeah, I know that after that, Russia, they were able to develop their own air-to-air missile with the wreckage of the Sidewinder missile carried back by the communist China MiGs when they flew back to mainland China. They turned those wreckage to the Soviet. They were able to design their own air-to-air missile against later against American in Vietnam conflict. And also another interesting story was that after the success of Sidewinder missile during the Strait crisis, many American pilots think the gun they are no longer useful against enemy aircraft. They think a missile was more useful. But later on, the proof wrong too. During the Vietnam War, the communist MiGs were able to inflict a lot of damage to American F-4 fighter. I think those F-4 Phantom before E model, they didn't have gun, so they were not able to outrun MiGs. So they were actually many of them were shot down. So later on, they put the gun back to the MiGs, back to the F-4, and later on, that's why the U.S. Navy they had the Top Gun to train the American naval fighter pilot to fight dogfight. Because after the Sidewinder mission, they think they will no longer be dogfight, just shoot a missile beyond the visual range. But that was not really correct. Later on, they put all the gun, they install all the gun back to the fighter. That's one interesting story I learned from the book I wrote. I read the book about I think it's by Dan Peterson. He was the founder of Top Gun. He wrote the book, and he talked about the connection of the story. Any more questions?
My uncle was in Taiwan when Taiwan got the first F-84s in the mid-60s to train them on helping maintain the world. I thought that might be interesting.
Or at least it looked like